We could have the potential for a landfalling typhoon in northeastern Luzon, specifically around Isabela by Friday morning. I'm meteorologist Robert Speta, and let's break down the latest information on our currently tropical storm Paolo, located just off the east coast of the Philippines. Now, first off, I always try to give you the latest information, no hype, just being very transparent what we see and why I'm expecting what I expect based on my 2 decades of experience out here. And right now, this thing is continuing to organize. Definitely a lot more organized than it was 12 hours ago. Not at typhoon status at this point, but we do have plenty of convection. You have good inflow towards the south and north, and plus you can see some of these cirrus clouds right in here, and definitely back towards the south and east. That's indicating outflow aloft. Now there's a little bit of shear smacking up against it here just along its northwestern periphery, and that could actually cause it to continue to stay a little bit further south than what a lot of the major players in the models are continuing to indicate. But I do continue to anticipate this basically stretch from Casiguran across Baguio over towards La Union is going to be some of the biggest impacts with this specific storm system. I really got a feel for you out here in the Philippines. You've been getting one storm after another. It's been relentless, and I understand you're used to it. You get these. But don't let that thought process put your guard down, and I can't stress that enough. As we've seen here with Opong, a lot of people said that, and then they were like, wow, that was really bad. Yeah, Sigma Force 1, in fact, as of recording this, in place all across a good portion of Luzon. And you can see their official forecast. They do have this maintaining severe tropical storm intensity just prior to landfall. I personally think we could have a typhoon, and I'll break that down why I'm saying that in a second. But the key thing is the Philippine Sea effect and rapid intensification that we often see in this area just prior to landfall. That's a historical precedence. But regardless, heavy rainfall. The Sierra Madre Mountains are going to act like a sponge, squeezing out the moisture from this system. So parts of Isabela and Cagayan are going to be looking at maybe 100 to 200 millimeters of total precipitation here on our Friday, especially along the east coast of the Sierra Madre Mountains. But even once you cross over to the Cagayan Valley, we could be seeing some of those heavy rain totals even in across parts of western areas of Isabela, extending across Benguet, Ilocos, La Union, Abra, Ilocos Norte, all going to be looking at some of that heaviest of the precipitation. Now, this is one model I do like to use just recently. This model coming out, the Google DeepMind, and it has been nailing the forecast of tropical systems after tropical systems, especially here in the Westpac. We have very weak initializing data, so you have to take what you can get. And the Google DeepMind continues to show right here, you can actually see a Cat 1 right at landfall, with the general ensembles continuing to bring this onshore either in northeastern Aurora or southeastern areas of Isabela, just towards the north of Casiguran, where I do think that's the biggest population area that could be looking at typhoon strength winds. So if you're in Casiguran, you are, if you want to live at a spot that gets typhoons, that's the spot to be. I'm telling you. But even some of these smaller communities, in fact, what was the storm last year? This exact communities right here. Josh Morganman was at it. I forgot which storm it was. But it made landfall in this specifically exact same area on the East Coast. A lot of these small towns that just get absolutely pummeled. Now, I remember that was like a Cat 3 or 4 when it came on shore. This would be a severe tropical storm or a Category 1, but one of those ones where just as long as everybody takes the warning seriously, you'll be just fine. And then as this crosses over the Sierra Madre Mountains, you can see even the Google DeepMind showing at least a little bit of weakening with the wind there, starting to come back down to a tropical storm as it crosses over the mountains. Basically, you can see that right here, and then crossing over to Cordillera Mountains just towards the north of Baguio, and then exiting just north of San Fernando, south of Camden City, Santa Cruz, all going to be looking at tropical storm conditions. Even places like Vegan City here. A heavy rainfall, though, for the mountains, and that's going to be one of probably the bigger issues, more so on the west coast. In fact, take a look at the latest forecast on this. Actually, hold on. Let me refresh it. This is Tropical Storm 27. You know why it's still called 27W, by the way, from JTWC? Because JMA hasn't named it yet, which boggles my mind. interesting. This thing is definitely at least a tropical storm. You see here with the ECMWF, earlier they actually had it closer to Cagayan. They have shifted their landfalling position a little bit further towards the south, and basically a very similar spot coming on shore, just according to the Google DeepMind. But one thing I do like to note is you can see how the Sierra Madre Mountains having a serious effect on this by Thursday night into Friday morning, already kind of disrupting it as it nears that landfall. And he's take a look at the GFS, which isn't loading, go figure. The GFS also has been shifting this a little bit further towards the north and a little bit slower at landfall, giving it a stronger intensity. But this seems unlikely. I stand by my forecast for central areas of the island here, with the heaviest rainfall along that east coast, stretching across places like Kauai, could see 100 to 200 millimeters, and then over towards the Magat Dam, where I do believe they're going to start releasing some water here. Actually, I should double check and see if they already have. And then across the west coast, as this exit, it's also going to have that inflow wrap back around and hit up the mountains here across parts of Region 1, which is going to cause definitely a dramatic increase in the rainfall for that area here too. So the rain being the big issue that we continue to talk about, but then you're going to be talking about some of those mountain precipitation really squeezing out that extra oomph of total rainfall throughout the day on Friday. By Saturday, though, at least Saturday morning, it starts to exit off of the west coast, and by Saturday afternoon, the bulk of this is going to be over with for the Philippines. And then at that point, we change our attention to the southern areas of China, because I do believe Guangdong province is going to be looking at yet another landfalling storm. It is a stretch from the Philippines out towards southern China, northern Vietnam, that has been in the alley this year. I mean, Japan's got a couple storms like Okinawa, but nothing compared to what we have been seeing across Southeast Asia, with just one storm after another. And here we go again. I feel like a broken record. There's no rest for people out here. Now, the saving grace with this, and I've said this in my last update, is the fact that this storm system will be passing north of Visayas. Yes, you're still probably going to be looking at scattered showers, a little inflow, but that extreme rainfall, it will be reserved to central and northern Luzon. And I point this out because, of course, you continue to get hourly aftershocks in and around the Cebu area, and you need some sort of relief, right? So you're probably going to get it with the worst of the impacts being back further towards the north here, especially along the east coast of Luzon. And you can see that even here. This is rain. This is Friday's outlook. This is Friday's forecast for northern Luzon. It is, it's that rain. There you go. Anyways, hey, if you like these updates, big shout out to Frontrunner Financial Consultancy. They are fantastic to help support this channel here. Not to mention all our Patreon members, some of our newest members like David Oakes, who just signed up here recently, as well as Steve, Curtis Shepard. Thank you so much for just being awesome. And our most recent Patreon member, which is Holly Bree. And Holly, if you're watching this update, a big extra shout out to you, and thanks for joining up here. I can't stress enough how much you guys are the reason I continue to do what I do here on a daily basis, because I'm sorry, a little bit selfish, but if these updates didn't make any money, I don't know if I would continue to do them, only in the sense that I want to do them to the point I do them. Because I originally started this as a hobby, let's be honest, before I even got any money out of it. I started it as a hobby, because, you know, YouTube back in 2008, you weren't making money. 2000, yeah, about 8, 9 when I first started these. But today, I have to squeeze them in between. Like, my work days are like 15, 16 hours long between my day job, doing an update in the morning and the evening. You get my point. Anyways, back to the bigger picture. Thank you guys so much for helping. That's it. All right. So the Google DeepMind actually shows this becoming a Cat 3. Look at that. Before coming on shore into southern areas of China, you compare that up with the ECMWF ensemble. They actually keep it a little bit weaker. I don't agree with that. So does the Weather Next Gen, showing kind of, I think this is going to be a stronger storm once it comes into Guangdong province, to be quite frank. Not just the model, warmer sea surface temperatures out here, and if history from the last several storms tells us anything, this is the same area that Buloy, or also Opong and Nando all made landfall as strong typhoons. So what's changed? Not much. It's the same thing. We got good outflow. You got the only thing that's changed is a lot of upwelling. So we've had relatively cooler sea temperatures in the Philippine Sea, West Philippine Sea, that is. But not much has changed. Anyways, yeah, this area, I do think we're going to have this wrap up in the next 12 to 24 hours. It'll be interesting what exactly happens. But of course, you know what I'm going to be? I'm going to be here helping you out and trying my best to keep you posted here at westernpacificweather.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, by the way, and you haven't subscribed, and let's say you're like, you know what, I am not going to give this guy his money. Great, fine. I'll never put the stuff behind a paywall. You don't have to. But what you can do is hit that subscribe button, because my goal is to get up to 100,000 subscribers. It helps with the algorithm to get these videos shared out more. And first and foremost, the reason why I originally started making these updates years ago was also as part of a hobby, but also because I noticed a gap in the coverage, and I wanted this information. Also, I started this right after a big storm in 2009. The one that killed a lot of people out here in the Philippines. Ondoy, yeah. I started after that one, and anyways, please subscribe. I can't articulate my thoughts right now, but I hope you get what I'm getting at. So if you watch all the way through, it means you found this useful. And if you're not subscribed, you're missing out on getting those push notifications when I do put these out. So stay safe, friends. Have a good day, and get ready for this one. I think it's going to sneak up, and I think it's going to be, I think people are going to go, whoa, what in the world did that come from? That's my thoughts. Let me know what your thoughts are down below.